I only made fireman, cashman. I be in a court. I be a tantanas with him. And then you can sky it. The guy will remove everything for everybody to see who are narcissists. Me say the force be here didn't want him. I mean, I limit. So I'm Rama and Narcissi. So on some master that day they will jail me. I'll beat the shit out of the guy and take that thing out. So,
and people saying 80 million, others saying a year at 30 million, you know. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify. Yeah. Okay. Complaints there the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, you know. Even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe him saying, "Yeah, cause near Jumano, so no me catch it and say, you know, let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable."
Yeah.
And you know, even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, you know, papa about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000.
I was saying, what be a ever life in Ghana TV so midin ene mame ekia na ye catcher since summer and nam eyo my Ghana yimo and ya face on my hood also dealing in any kawuma and a channel is near their bro. I'm also one with the air so and it is a fee and I was say so say a ya like video no my enough face so private the PMO will near be and then the share no no so answer a semi and kebi. I will say I'm a remo ever and some no emo. Ayen semtweni ewo my Ghana emu aye friend say anas areme yaw anas abusia san semtweni de efri eye mfinhia no eye afimpino na duonu no mu a ebe na duonu baakunu no ene semtweni di ebetele pa ewo my Ghana yimo na wone eye wonabo Kennedy Agyapong mekire eye nkane asen central ma hyebedwani oni ni nya entawantawo bi ewo my Ghana emu eye afimpino ene na duonu eba komichere 2021 ni mo ena omunya ntawanta wani nyina no efa ensem bia na sementimi hoase bia eye wona bo Kennedy Agyapong okodhwe baaye se efa eye anasare me yaw anase ho sanse wogi eye adamudie dwirimu niema ye katahye proye ne kankan ne corruption adokoro ne paase se bio no kobua eno tie nam so ma afimpin ne duonu baakoni mu no eye wona bo Kennedy Agyapong ene okonkramanta ni mu a wode yesuri kese kosi honum koyi ya anase ho niema bebre na maganafo ebidim kura susu se eye abrante eyampa waji eye adamudie ansana waye bibi ede ama timemufuo anase mpanyifo bi ewo mayimo na sansam na abusia ne yakase akwakotia da se na ayese border suja no ase no ehihia na nsu na aniu ndie na edum wei ena ya anas areme yaw anas ede asam no akwakoma eye US mekire eye America manimo no wode asam ne kokodan eye court na no ene ne wompiridu wonsom onabo Kennedy Agyapong baby asam ne say yakwakobobo no di akwakoduru ne se eye sikapoti na yetwa ede atu ne tiri so se wontua amfama eye anas areme yaw anas sanse wogu nanimu ase bebre ewo my Ghana mu ene eye America dollar no eye $18 million ena yetwa ede ama eye wonabo Kennedy Agyapong se wontua emfama anas areme yaw anas abusien sam ne doso eni tino yenko eye yenwa be ma eye Kevin Taylor ho ene wone eye anas lawyer atwetwe nkoma de nam so ene ne kofa bai de ma asem no eba ye nyina no abusia yenkonkotie emfa emra.
Okay, so the court's decision, if we start at the end, the court is denying the request from this trial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after the motions are filed appropriately and then respond appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Okay. Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone.
We have Anas' lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Vrs Kennedy Agyapong. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Selassie. You speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please. I speak.
Good.
Tree. Yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arimya Anas, or Ghanaian or investigative journalist, his work over the years he has gone through a lot of court appearances, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say Kennedy Agyapong or former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na FA football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibrisi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU, Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, and a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at a point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Or Tunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Vrs Kennedy Agyapong, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes. And
that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. Mm. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. Mm. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, "Yeah, papa no, and someone just like what kind about my client." Mm. So, like as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, after reviewing the video, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you tweet back court New Jersey, as I say. Papa no video no so papa na nenu nsem kire say o kase feel fie New Jersey. Na unim say the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when you say a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So after the preliminary back and forth, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And by law, there was a period by which Yapapano Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Yapapano filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of Onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one, so say Yenuya a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal. The blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, say behind Woody Sembiana, that means say Abiana no a trigger man and also no will be and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Atawemaga Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record, and the case went. At that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near the judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, almost really see it. And I don't know, so say almost defense to a case I because New Jersey.
We knew Ghana, so case no
exactly.
It's only almost case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here, say, kind of my the work of court, it's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to mean what to mean the agent of Ghana and family defending way. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though any of presidential value, I just said, dead into me, so India, but to me, the two who na senior would you to an especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra here drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, the difference between what happened with Ghana and trial by jury. And judge, or judge back one I say judge me, one I say judge me and send a BDS seminar. But normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin and from. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that a charges counts now the buy and the civil claims now the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just base banter between him and Union, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court was say sa counting na mode bono no say on Anas back and forth, right? The only claim or make it or say a banter. I just say we can't wait internet and share or no they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court media that was not
and yes I know what kind of court no G2
yeah be or maintaining the position say no can or that standard by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just a part of the Ukraine D and on your bonibia.
Okay.
So to support that, or they move your child in it to who watches a watchman. But they are also by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were the multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back, and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuel.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no Biedun Komono. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes said there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay people
who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use their. I would not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, only to be a asem na no kwa between say obekayimra achiro mo achiro mo." And that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. And also a very astute lawyer, you be a dreamer. And and some people walk cry on Jintumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position that he wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, the peace. Said that schedule say, and from this time to this time, can you support staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I better say maybe by this time we'll be say grown or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire, unfortunately, me, Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, these days, we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million, Now, when you read...
Well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaints there, the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million. $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at before the mandatory settlement conference, before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, about court. Now the lawyers just say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and they said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono, Anas initially, you have a kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw pay $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, no client here Anas Kasa and say it will be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, no client Anas, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh, yes, and like I said, your lawyer at a Wemega, New York, and also come home Andrew De Gea.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. When my guy is there,
yes,
De Gea is there, Crow is there, yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So,
yeah.
The whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
Now, in spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, you have a panel buyer and also on over $10,000 to end the case.
No.
You know, I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way he's saying I'm sure so I can kind papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So like to go back to how it ended, So at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But, we decided to keep it under wraps because, there was a component, you multiply 18 million by 5, money do 90 million. For a total of about...
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah. Because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say but we are bold with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
We ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two in terms of that and sana say one way or another I go back I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I between me German and Cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost busa into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say beba 18 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That will take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, depending on how that motion goes.
Okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and so depending on how that motion goes.
So for now,
yes.
example, 18, Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, someone says to grab back 10, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay. Now let's go back and watch.
Okay, so the court's decision, as we start at the end, the court is denying a request for mistrial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after the motions are filed appropriately and then responded appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Thank you. Okay. Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for going forever.
So there's one thing you need to take notice of. Anas was still wearing nose mask in court. But over Ghana, judge to me says Anas saying nose mask na You see the difference. You see how our judiciary in Ghana. How bad some of our judges are. The judge sitting in that courtroom in New Jersey is looking at the facts and evidence before him. How you dress to court is up to you. It is your presentation in court, how the jury will see you. Whether you wear a nose mask or not, at the end of the day, it is your case, the substantive case, your evidence is what they are looking at, because they are dealing with the law. They are not looking at individuals. And in Oba Krumha, the law itself is blind. It does not look at faces, background, economically where you are coming from, or financial, or whatever. It's looking at the case, the law. They are applying it. So whether somebody is dread, whether somebody is wearing a nose mask, whether somebody is wearing a face shield, what is more important to the jury and the judge is that look at the evidence before you. Look at it and apply the law, and let's see. But don't say, Senia Omubu Asamgu Anas so Ghana was that it wasn't the substantive issue Anas had brought to court. Anas trying to defend himself. In Ghana, the Edibuati Anas say yes, nose mask be Anas face mask be. Say Anas say yeah. That means Anas is guilty. This is where we are as a nation. Judge to me say, because of face mask, nose mask, because I want you to look in a certain way in my court, if you don't look that way, I am going to call you a criminal. I am going to label you a criminal. That is the danger in our judiciary. And that is what we need to look at. Are we looking at a substantive case that is before us as judges, as judiciary, or we are looking at the characters or the individuals standing before us? And when you go to Ghana, the judiciary today look at the people involved in the case.
My name is Small Pin. What I say? We are live in Ghana TV. Ko YouTube. Ko subscribe. When we say me be my Instagram Small Pin me jam na 24/7. We ba watching what I say. But that's it.
Ayo, me no. They don't have my puzzle. Waiting the account. A puzzle le GH. So what kind of kepa kapelalaza? What when ya was re? Ayo, na me na YouTube. And I'm going live in Ghana TV. Masa, jai. And no me guhono. So open ball, open superstars interviews wa. Ko live in Ghana TV. Na ko show ni so ade. Me serew. Me can't reach you behind me. Move me rough. Me kasa fa ade ho no. No we say dey. Ade ni dim. Some person we tear kuku dan pa interviews dia ko live in Ghana TV na ko hwe wani so ade o ko so amesrew subscriber na mi adoma so na cry ahora mo say wa subscriber and time dia bi tu mu abo say aba na akobo na wahwe o du tu mu apa na akobo na wahwe so wa subscriber e mi ama adoma na cry a ene wa wo yegirigi time dia bako akosechi ba wo nya subscriber na adoma ne bo kan a wo du tu mu a wa obo hu Dieko, Medamasi. Bye bye.